Hi everybody, good afternoon and welcome to today's lesson. Today, as you can see here, we're going to be studying lesson number 32 out of 50 of this self-knowledge course titled Radical Change, okay? A very important lesson. We're going to be learning how we can achieve a radical change in our interior, and well, this is going to be showing also in our exterior. If you have any question, if you have any doubt about this topic, well, let it down there in the comment section, and we're going to be answering any question you may have or clearing out any doubt you may have. Also, in the description of this video, we're going to be finding the access link to the WhatsApp group, to the Telegram group, and to the YouTube channel, okay? Through these groups, we send the material, the complementary material we use for these conferences. I mean, the charts, also the audios of the conferences, and you can't communicate directly with the instructors, okay, the administrators of the WhatsApp groups. Well, today we are going to be learning when we really start that radical change and how we can achieve it through self-observation, which is the first step of the psychological death. The first thing we have to know is that as long as a man continues with the error of believing himself to be one unique individual, it is evident that radical change will be more than impossible. The reason for this is that we are not one, but rather many. Within us, there are many different people, so we are never the same or act in the same way. At one moment, we are happy, and at another moment, we are sad. At one moment, we are petty. At another, we are splendid. At one moment, we are angry, and at another, we feel fear. At one moment, we are in love, and at another, we feel hate. And they are all different people with different feelings, behaviors, and thoughts. We have the false perception that we are one because our defects express themselves in first person, and that gives us that false feeling of integrity and continuity. For example, we usually express this way: I am sad, I am happy, I am in love, I am angry, etc. Let us also remember that 97% of our essence is trapped by all these defects or psychological defects. Our essence is divided, is dispersed, and they are the ones who mechanically manage our human machine and its functions. When we eliminate our psychological defects and release the totality of our essence and merge them, our essences, and merge them through the practice of suprasex, it is when we will truly achieve true integrity or sacred individuality. Therefore, the radical change will not start if we cannot demonstrate the reality that we are not one, but many. The very fact that the esoteric work begins with the rigorous observation of oneself is indicating a multiplicity of psychological factors, eyes, or undesirable elements that is urgent to remove, to eradicate from our interior. Unquestionably, in no way would it be possible to eliminate unknown errors. It is urgent to previously observe that what we want to separate from our psyche. If there is no self-observation, there is no discovery. And if there is no discovery, there will be no change. How could we change what we can't see? This is how the radical change begins. We observe ourselves, we discover the defects, and then we ask our Divine Mother, our intimate Divine Mother, for their elimination. Let's remember what self-observation is. It is to carefully observe our inner world, our thoughts, feelings, desires, sensations. It is to observe how the defects want to manifest themselves through each one of our centers. Let's give an example in which we go down the street and see a person who seems attractive to us. We begin to observe ourselves center by center, and when we realize how the sexual center is activated and we can observe a sensation of excitement in our instinct, well, we feel the attraction and desire towards that person. In the emotion, we can see feelings of falling in love. In the mind, we see the idealizations, the plans, the projections, the fantasies. And the motor center leads us to act by complimenting the person, making flirtatious gestures, or asking the person for the phone number, and so on. Seeing all these details, excuse me, leads us to advance a lot around those lustful, fornicating, and adulterous defects. The same will happen with all the other defects: anger, jealousy, fear, hatred, alcohol, drugs, fornication, envy, pride, greed, etc., etc. The thing is that at this point, we don't even know we have those defects within ourselves. That is due to lack of self-observation. This type of work is not external but internal. And those who think that any manual of civility or external and superficial ethical system can lead them to success will in fact be totally wrong. The concrete and definitive fact that intimate work begins with concentrated attention on full self-observation is more than enough reason to demonstrate that this requires a very particular personal effort from each one of us. Speaking frankly and bluntly, we emphatically state the following: no human being could do this job for us. No change in our psyche is possible without direct observation of all these set of subjective factors that we carry within. Accepting the multiplicity of errors, but ruling out the need to study and directly observe them means in fact an evasion or escape, a flight from oneself, a form of self-deception. Only through rigorous effort of judicious self-observation, without escapes of any kind, can we truly demonstrate that we are not one, but many. Okay? Accepting this as one more theory or concept for the mind will not do anything for us, because if there is no self-observation, there is no true self-discovery, and we will not be able to truly demonstrate those people living within us. Admitting the plurality of the self and demonstrating it through rigorous observation are two different aspects. Someone can accept the doctrine of the many eyes without ever having evidenced it. The latter is only possible by carefully observing oneself. Also, affirming, well, is one thing, and understanding is another. When someone says, "I understand that I am not one but many," if his understanding is true and not mere insubstantial, ambiguous talk, this indicates signals of full verification of the doctrine of the many eyes, the many psychological defects or aggregates we have within us. Also, shunning the work of intimate observation, seeking evasions, is an unmistakable sign of degeneration, from really not wanting to make any internal changes. As long as a man sustains the illusion that he is always one and the same person, he cannot change. And it is obvious that the purpose of this work is precisely to achieve a gradual change in our inner life. There is another very important point to know, which is that the changes resulting from working on ourselves are gradual, but total changes. They do not occur from one day to the next. We have very big defects made up of many details. Therefore, if we maintain continuity, progress will be gradual but radical. Radical transformation is a possibility that is usually lost when we don't work on ourselves. Those who reject the doctrine of the many eyes clearly demonstrate that they have never seriously observed themselves, since The severe self-observation without escapes of any kind allows us to verify for ourselves the crude realism that we are not one but many. Unquestionably, well, the illusion that we are always one and the same person serves as a stumbling block for self-observation. Well, as you can see here, evidencing, experimenting, and comprehending are the fundamental things. Only in this way it is possible to work consciously to achieve a radical change. We can evidence through self-observation that well, leads us to discover the defects and to experience the actions of those defects through us, and to the subsequent understanding that it is a different defect manifesting which is different from others. We have to discover the defect, we have to see it, observe it in action, judge it, and eliminate it. Here we will see the process of psychological death that begins with self-observation. Then comes the judgment, from which we derive the wisdom or comprehension, and finally the death request to our Divine Mother so that she eliminates these defects from our psychology. Also, we have to know that knowledge and comprehension are different also. The first of these is from the mind, the second from the heart, and is received through intuition. So the mere knowledge of the doctrine of the many eyes is useless. Unfortunately, in these times in which we live, knowledge has gone far beyond comprehension because the poor intellectual animal, us, mistakenly called man, exclusively developed the side of knowledge, unfortunately forgetting the corresponding side of the being. Knowing the doctrine of many defects and comprehending it, it is essential for all true radical change. When a man begins to look closely at himself from the angle that he's not one but many, he has obviously begun serious work on his inner nature, and that's the point we have to reach. We have to reach to. Well, although it is true that the work on ourselves is done gradually, there are some defects with which we must be totally radical from the very start, because they are defects that revive the defects, eyes that we have previously eliminated with psychological death. These are the defects of drugs, alcohol, and fornication. Let's remember that drugs and alcohol contaminate our energy and put it in an involutionary state. In a sexual practice, this energy that cannot ascend because it is contaminated will always be expelled from the body through ejaculation or orgasm. And there, new defects are created, and defects that we had already eliminated are revived. By doing this, well, radical change is impossible because the defects that we eliminate during the day are revived at night through sexual faults or fornication. Therefore, we must abstain from drugs, alcohol, and fornication, which we remember is the expulsion of sexual energy out of our body through ejaculation or orgasm. And well, this has been today's conference. Thank you very much for your assistance. We invite you to the next conference called The Law of Octaves and Entropy, okay? Which is going to be we're going to be studying this conference on Thursday. So we are going to be learning about these two universal laws that we must transcend if we want to advance in our inner work. Remember that if you have any question, you can leave it down there in the comment section below, and we're going to be very happy to answer any question you may have or clearing out any doubt you may have about this topic or about this course, this self-knowledge course in general. So thank you very much and see you next time.